This is John, and John has to deliver 100 documents by the end of the day. And this is Guillermo. He also has to deliver 100 documents by the end of the day. Hey John, you wanna go grab a coffee? Hey, hello, can you hear me? Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm really busy, I cannot. I have a lot of stuff to do. I know, me too. I guess you have that automated, don't you? What? Can that be done? Really? You're kidding me. Come here, let me show you. Look John, what I'm going to show you is how to use a Word document, that Word document transform it into a template, populate that template with Power Automate, and then use the information that you have on Excel to populate that template as many times as documents you might need. That way you can have one document for each row of information that you have on your Excel file. The first thing we need to do is grab our template, our Word document that we want to fill as many times as we need to. What we're going to do is identify all those elements where information needs to be changed. For example, what we have here, this template is basically a Word document where we're sending a list of patients that they have an amount of money that they still haven't used from their insurance, and that if they don't use it by the end of the year, all that money will be lost for next year. So what we need to do is identify which fields here will change for each one of the users that we have, each one of our clients. The first one, it's quite clear, is patient name. Then we have things like multiple places where we include the year. So we have here patient name, we have years. Then we also have the amount that is left. And finally, we included on the bottom what we call the doctor name. If you had paid attention, John, you will see that some of these already have something weird. This is a property for plain text. And what we do, basically, we highlight whichever part we want to use to substitute. We come here to our developer ribbon, and inside of it, we look for this element here, plain text. The right one, not the left one, because the left one sometimes doesn't work. So let's use always the right one, that always works. If you cannot see this, it's as simple as going to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and in here you probably will have it like this. All you have to do is select it and click OK. Back to our document, now we can see our developer tab, and what we're going to do is select all those elements that we would like to auto-populate. In our case, the patient name, we select it, and we come up here. Let me select something that doesn't have it. Let's say healthcare benefits. We want to change the healthcare for some other word. So we would come here to plain text context. We'll select it, and it will already create this field as plain text. We will do that with each one of the fields that we want to auto-populate. And once we have that, we need to provide some properties to those fields. These properties, it's what's going to allow Power Automate to decide what needs to be put where. So we're going to select one of those fields, and we come here again to properties. We provide a name, a title, and we provide a tag. So in this case was healthcare. And what I usually do is I provide the same name for the title as for the tag. I'm going to cancel it because I don't want this to be an actual field. Once we have all the fields selected and all the properties defined, now what we need to do is create this document as a template. It's quite simple. All we have to do is go to File, Save As, select the folder where we want to save this document, and before we save anything, we change the extension to Word template. We select that one, and we just click on Save. But as I was telling you, first step, identify which fields we want to change. Second step, select them as plain text context. And finally, for each one of them, you have to provide their properties with the name and the tag. Save it as a template. So far it's clear, John? I bet it is. Inside Power Automate, we have different options. The first thing is to start by creating our flow. And when we create it, I always start with Instant Cloud Flow. Here you provide a name, let's say Populate template, and I always use the manual trigger flow. This is just for the test, then we can change our trigger to be something else that we want to have. We create it, and this flow will need multiple steps. The first step will be to bring all the information that we have on our Excel file. The second step will be to grab that information and fill the template as many times as we need for as many rows as we have on our Excel file. And the final step will be to all those templates that we have filled, transform them into an actual document and save them wherever we want them to be saved. So we have our manual trigger, and let me show you the information that I have on Excel. On our case, we were having the patient name for our template, the year, the amount of money that they have left, and the doctor name. All the information that we have here, we need to have it in a table. For that, what we need to do is select the area that we want to convert into a table. We go to Home, and inside of Home, we have this option here, Format as Table. You can select whatever you want, just pick one, and that would be our table. Back to Power Automate. Inside of Power Automate, the first thing that we need to do is read all the rows that we have on our Excel file. For that, we look for Excel, list rows present in a table. It is important that our Excel file is saved on cloud. It can either be OneDrive, it can be SharePoint. I'm gonna use SharePoint, but you have other options. The important option here, or the important thing to have in mind, is that that document needs to be accessible throughout the cloud, otherwise Power Automate won't be able to pick it up. So we search for our location and our document, and we select the actual file. We need to always keep the same name for the file. If we change it, this flow is already broken, so it won't work. Now, once we have that selected, it will allow us to select which table we want to use. If you had a lot of information, you can always filter out with an OData filter whatever you want to filter out, in case you don't want to use all your rows. In our case, we don't have much information, so it's not necessary. Once we have this, we need to create those templates. We need to fill those templates as many times as rows we have. In order to do that, the first step is to go to Controls and Apply to Each. Basically, whatever actions we put inside this Apply to Each is going to be applied to all the rows that we had on our Excel file. And for that, the element that we need to select here is the output of our previous action. Now, inside this Apply to Each, we're going to add an action. And in this case, this is a premium action, but there's other options more complicated to also do this without a premium connector or a premium action. That's something that you're interested. I will have another video for that. But for now, let's keep it simple. We look for Word template, Populate Microsoft Word template. We select this. We look for our file. Now, once we have this, we need to let it think for a couple seconds. Once we have selected our template, we go to Show All, and you will see that you have all the elements that you have previously decided that you wanted to fill. In each one of them, we're going to select for the current item that we have, the element that we want. So for the amount, we're going to pick up the amount and look for the list rows present in a table. Important. We're going for amount. All good there? Makes sense? If not, you can always comment on it. Now what this is doing is this is populating the file, but this is not creating or saving the file. So we need to save that file. We come to add an action, and what I'm going to pick up is inside SharePoint, there's this one, create file. Now we can pick our location. What I would recommend you is that you select a different location from which one you have the templates. What I do, for example, is have a folder inside the same folder where I have the templates. So it's basically one level down from the template. And you have to select the folder. Don't go inside the folder, because then you break the whole thing. Now here you will provide a file name. So we're going to call this document of and the name of our patient. So patient name dot docx. You have to also put the extension of the type of document. In our case, it's a Word document, so we just put that extension. And the file content is going to be the Populate a Microsoft Word template. So basically this one here. Now we have everything that we want. We manually trigger it. This could be scheduled if you want. If you are going to do this on a weekly basis, for example, you can schedule this flow automatically. It's going to pick up all the rows that we have on our document and then populate the template and create as many files as we need. If we save this and we test it, and now if I go to where we have those documents, and here we have it, doc of Alex, doc of Irene, doc of Jacob, doc of Mark, doc of Teresa. That's basically all the patient names we had here. All of them, if we open one, let's say doc of Alex, it should have Alex $1,000 for Dr. Diaz. And we have it, $1,000 for Dr. Diaz. This flow is using some actions that are premium and you will need a license for it. If you want to know how to use Power Automate without having to have any specific license, there's other options for it and different workarounds. I'm going to leave you a video around here where you can learn different automations that you can do without the need for any license.